How to win 1,000 times without even trying. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to win at everything in life? It's like things always work out incredibly well for them, no matter what. They get the best jobs, they have great friends, amazing relationships, they are always in shape and looking their best. Money just flows to them no matter what. They have the best opportunities show up at the perfect moment for them. Success just keeps happening for them over and over and over. And then there are other people, and maybe you felt this too, who try so hard. They do everything they can physically to achieve their goals. They do all the right things, and they also visualize and affirm and journal. And yet their big goals still feel out of reach. What if I told you that the difference isn't luck, it's not effort, it's not even finding the right manifestation technique, but it's something completely different? Hello, my beautiful superheroes. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi. I'm Scarlet Grace and I help people bring their impossible dreams to life. This channel is all about shifting your identity and becoming the version of you who already has it all. If you want my personal help to finally get your desires, you can work with me by booking a coaching session. And if what you want to create is your ideal relationship, my 21-day course will walk you through exactly how to do that. You will find all the links in the description below. So today we're going to talk about how to win 1,000 times without even trying. Let me start by asking you a question. Are you a winner? And I want you to really answer that question, and I want you to answer it honestly. I don't want you to answer it based on what you're supposed to say or what exists in your affirmations. I want you to honestly answer to yourself if you're a winner or not. In the intro, as I was describing the two different types of people, which one is it, the one that made you think, yes, this is me? Is it the kind of person where success happens automatically? Or did you identify with a person who does everything? They try hard, they visualize, they imagine, they script, but they still never seem to get the level of success they want in any area of life or in one specific area of life. Did that description make you feel, yes, that is me, I try so hard. Oh my God, thank you. I hope this video has the answer that I'm looking for because I'm tired of trying so hard and I don't know why my desires aren't manifesting. It is very important for you to know where you're starting from. Are you starting from a point where you feel that you're a winner and you expect to win? Or are you starting from a starting point where you deep down feel that you're a loser who just hopes that they're going to get some successes here and there once in a while, but this is not your normal and natural state? This is important, and here's why. It's because every manifestation, every goal, every success follows a very simple pattern. You see yourself a certain way, which means you expect certain results, so reality mirrors those expectations. Because reality is just a mirror, it is not real. It is just mirroring what is going on inside of you. If deep down you believe you're the kind of person that never has things working out for them, then everything in your life is going to try to prove that to you in every area across the board. On the other hand, if you feel that you're a winner, if your natural expectation always is that you're going to win, reality is going to reflect that back to you. This isn't magic. This is simply how reality works. It reflects your inner identity. What I see happening a lot is that people usually have one big desire in one area of life. Let's say a specific person, or a certain job, or a certain amount of money, okay? And they focus all their manifestation efforts in this area of life. They look at that area of life and try to figure out what their blocks are around that one specific desire, which is good. And you need to do that if you feel that there's something blocking it. I'm not saying it's bad, but here's the part that you're missing. If you're not manifesting your desire and you've tried and you've used affirmations and you feel that you worked on your blocks, if you have a certain identity around something that affects every area of life, like for example, you believe that you're not a lucky person, or you believe that you're not a winner. Winning is not the natural state for you. You're used to losing. You're used to trying hard and very rarely actually winning for whatever reason. That will affect every area of life and every manifestation, including that one manifestation that you have been focusing on, whether that's the specific person, the money, the dream house, or whatever it is. Even though it doesn't feel like your dream house, for example, has anything to do with winning or losing, or your specific person, or your soulmate. Maybe you're not focusing on a specific person. Maybe you're focusing on manifesting the ideal partner for you, somebody who you don't know yet. Even though it feels like it has nothing to do with winning or losing, everything in life has to do with winning or losing. Because you have a certain belief, a certain attitude around winning that is going to seep into every single area of your life and affect that. And what does that mean? If you believe that you're a winner, if your natural state is winning, if no matter what you try to do, your expectation is that you're going to come on top, that you're going to be first, that if somebody's going to win, it's going to be you, that means that all manifestations become easier for you. Because you expect things to work out for you. You expect to be the winner. You are not discouraged when you want something that seems unlikely. You're not thinking that this is going to be difficult. You're thinking, great, I'm going to do it. I don't care if other people didn't manage to do it or if very few people succeeded. I'm going to succeed because that's what usually happens. On the other hand, if you feel that you're not a winner, that your natural state is not winning, it's hoping that you win and 80% of the time or 90% of the time losing, even if you did your best, that will make every conscious manifestation you want harder to make happen. Not because the manifestation is difficult, not because the thing is difficult to have, other people can have it, but you don't believe that it is going to be easy for you because you're not used to winning. So why would you win this time? Why would you imagine and have this thing magically appear if it's a big thing within 24 hours? That's not what you're used to. Why would the best opportunities open up for you? That's not what you're used to. Why will you succeed if 100 other people failed? That's not what you're used to. You see how this affects every manifestation? It's a matter of identity. It's a matter of attitude, of how you approach everything in your life. Which means that if you change that, if right now you're not a winner in your mind, but you manage to change that on an identity level, not around your specific desire, but as your core attitude about everything in life, then you're going to make everything in life infinitely easier to manifest. And today, I'm going to help you to change that. If you don't feel that you're a winner, it is time that you became a winner. I'm going to explain exactly how to do this, but before we do that, it is important to look into how people who feel that they're winners and people who don't approach things differently so that you can see exactly how that ruins your manifestation and you don't even realize you're doing it. The first thing that you need to notice so that you can determine if you approach life as a winner or not is to ask yourself, do I actually expect to succeed usually? When you try something new, do you expect to be the kind of person who is good at it, who will succeed, who will get the outcome they want? It doesn't matter what it is. You decide to try Pilates. Do you feel before going to your first class that you're going to be the one who does all the exercises correctly? And it will prove that maybe you are more fit than you expected and you will impress people? Or do you expect that you're going to suffer and you're going to be the worst and people will laugh at you because you're not even going to be able to finish the whole program? When you start something new, learning a foreign language, a musical instrument, a new job, do you feel intimidated or do you feel that this is a great opportunity to prove how good you are, how easily you learn, how easily you pick things up? Because here's the thing, when we put something on a pedestal, it becomes much harder to manifest because we feel that it's this big thing right over there on top and we have to climb all the way up and we have one chance, one opportunity to make it happen. And what if it doesn't happen? And it feels so difficult and so unlikely for it to happen. And all that is called resistance. Whereas if whenever you see something, no matter what it is, no matter if you had it before, you see it as natural and normal for it to become yours, for you to be good at it, for you to succeed, you don't have it on a pedestal. It looks normal to you. When we want to manifest something, what we need to do is we need to normalize it. We need to make it natural for it to be ours. We need to perceive it in our subconscious mind and in our conscious mind as the natural and normal thing to have. But if you're seeing it as special, if you're seeing it as very unlikely, very hard, why would it be me that had this thing that managed to succeed where others failed? Are you seeing it as normal? No. In your mind, this is not natural and normal for you to have. You have to understand that everything we do when we manifest, all the techniques by themselves, they do not manifest. The techniques have one goal and one goal only: to make you accept that you having this thing is natural and normal, to get used to having it to the point where it's nothing special anymore. That's why I keep saying that when you imagine, let's say you're using imaginal scenes to manifest a specific desire, no matter what it is, let's say it's a relationship, you are not using the technique because the technique manifests. You're using the technique to put yourself in the version of reality mentally where you already have that thing and experience it over and over and over and over until it's not something special anymore, until it's your normal state, until it's completely normal for you to be in that relationship. And it's the same with money. You create an imaginal scene where you imagine that you have all this money. And at first, it feels super exciting and new and you don't know what to do with it. But as you keep putting yourself in that state, you become used to the idea that, yeah, I have all that money. And yeah, I still like having all that money, but it's not a big deal because I'm used to having all that money. That is what the technique is meant to do. And it's the same with all the techniques. You use scripting for exactly the same reason. You script scenes from the perspective of your desired reality, where you already are the kind of person that you want to be, where you already have the kinds of things and relationships and opportunities and objects and possessions that you want to have. And you make them vivid so that you can feel them, so that you can feel that, yes, this is mine now, until it becomes natural and normal. And when it becomes natural and normal, that's when it manifests, because you have completely embodied the version of you who has it. So to bring that back to the winner versus loser psychology, if you are a winner, you don't see your desire as something out there that is hard to get, something that is not normal, something that is unlikely. You see it as something not just likely, but natural to be yours, even if you never had it before. You look at the thing and you're like, yeah, of course. Of course I'm going to get back together with this person. Of course this house is going to be mine. Of course they're going to hire me. Of course I'm going to become a millionaire. You're used to winning. You're used to getting what you want. So that's just another thing you want. And your experience says that you get the things you want. So it's not a big deal. You want it, you have it. End of story. But if you don't have the winner psychology, if you don't approach life as a winner, it doesn't work that way. It works the opposite way. You look at the thing and you're like, oh my God, another thing I want, which means another disappointment. Because you're used to not winning usually. Maybe 10% of the time you win, and it usually involves a lot of effort, and if you mess things up even a little bit, you don't get to win. So this thing that you just saw and you want to manifest, it's over there, all the way over there, and you're here. You're not in the same place. It's not natural and normal for you to have it. You have to talk yourself out of your doubts to even start believing, just for a little bit, that maybe you have a chance to get it. Because you're used to losing. You're used to not getting what you want. The second thing that affects manifestations based on whether you approach life as a winner or not is if you don't approach life as a winner, you're going to try to force things. You're going to try to force things in your physical reality, which by now I hope you know, it doesn't help manifestation. And the reason you're going to force things is because you look at life, you look at what you want to manifest, and if there is one way you can force things so that maybe you can get what you want, You're going to hang on to it for dear life. You're going to grab it and never let it go. And if it doesn't pan out, you think that you failed completely. As if there's no other way in the universe this thing can happen for you. Which is exactly what you shouldn't be doing to manifest successfully. Because when we manifest, we should not focus on controlling the way something will manifest. You decide on the end result. You do not decide the how. And the reason you do not decide the how is because no matter what you identify as the best way to have something, chances are there is a much better way and you cannot see it. And it's not your job to see it. And when we try to control the how when manifesting, we mess things up because we're not allowing the best, easiest, fastest way for us to get this thing to manifest. We're trying to force our way. And when your way doesn't work, you feel like a complete failure. And your heart is crushed because you wanted this thing so much and there was one opportunity to get it and you ruined it. So everything is lost. Which is not true, because when you want to manifest something, you can have that thing. As long as you stop trying to control the how and decide that this thing is yours and allow yourself to have it. But when you try to control the how, you're not allowing yourself to have it. Because if it doesn't work out the way you expected it would work out, exactly the way you expected, through the exact means you expected, you believe that all is lost and you cannot have the thing now. So you are denying yourself the opportunity to have what you wanted because it didn't happen in the one exact way you decided it had to happen. And if you decide that this is the only way it can happen and there's very little chance for it to happen, but I'm going to manifest it anyway, and it's so unlikely to happen, but I'm going to try to manifest it and it doesn't manifest, and it won't, because if you feel that it's very unlikely for it to happen, you are going to project that into reality, and reality is a mirror. Reality is going to reflect that back to you, and it will make it extremely unlikely for it to happen. So it will not manifest in this one way that you determined it has to happen. And because you truly believe that this way is the only way, when it doesn't happen, you believe it didn't manifest and it cannot ever manifest. And reality is a mirror and will say, yes, you believe it can never manifest, so it can never manifest, and it's not manifesting. But when you have the attitude of a winner, you don't care if it doesn't manifest in the one way you determined. Even if you saw a way and you thought, great, that's the best way to do this, and you try that way and it fails. You don't care because you're a winner and you get what you want. So if that one failed, I'm sure there's a better way. And I don't have to figure it out. It will pop up. It will happen somehow. You just know that you always win. So winning this specific thing isn't special. And the fact that you didn't do it in the one way you determined it could be done means nothing. It doesn't mean you're a failure. It doesn't mean you failed. It doesn't mean anything about whether you can have that thing or not. And let me give you a practical example of how that shows up in reality so that you can really see if you have that behavior or not. I had a client at some point who wanted to manifest money. And they came the next time very disappointed and they told me, you know what, I never play the lottery, but I decided to buy a lottery ticket this time. And I told myself, I'm going to win because I can manifest this. Because the only way they felt they could get a lot of money at once without working was the lottery. There's no other way, right? So they bought a lottery ticket and they didn't win. And they were crushed. They were so disappointed and came back to me and were like, why isn't this working? You said I can have anything I want. I bought one lottery ticket and I imagined winning and I expected to win and I didn't win the lottery. What is going on here? Why is everybody else managing to use manifestation to get their desires? And the one time I try it, it just doesn't work for me. Now, do you hear that? One person decided to buy one lottery ticket once in their life, a lottery ticket. Millions upon millions of people wish to win the lottery, and they bought one their whole lives, and they didn't win, and that means that manifestation isn't working. Does that make sense to you? Do you hear how it works when you pick one way to get your outcome, which is money? And if you try it once and you fail just once, you make it mean that you cannot have that thing at all, that manifestation doesn't work, that you're not meant to have millions, that you will never have money, that you are cursed to always work hard and never have money. None of that is true. You just didn't win with the one lottery ticket you bought, just like a ton of other people haven't. It's not a big deal, it's a lottery ticket. But you take that and make it mean something about you. I'm a loser. Something about your financial situation. I will never have money. Something about whether you're capable or not. Other people can pull this manifestation thing off and I just can't. It doesn't work for me. Just because of one thing that didn't work out in the one exact specific way that you wanted it to work out. And what you don't realize when something like that is happening, and by the way, it can happen in any area. It doesn't just have to do with a lottery. It's like you can ask any person out and you saw a person that was cute and you asked them out and they said no, and that means that you're a loser and nobody ever wants to date you and you will end up dying alone with 20 cats waiting to eat you or whatever. You take one tiny incident and use it as proof for every single limiting belief that you have. That is how it works. And what you don't realize is that the reason it didn't work out was because you didn't approach it as a winner. You don't expect to win. You don't expect things to work out for you. That is not what you find natural and normal. Failure is what you find natural and normal. And that is why life will reflect back to you, because it is a mirror, opportunities for you to feel like a loser, to feel like you don't deserve your desire, to feel like your natural state is not winning, that it's very unlikely to win, and all kinds of other beliefs like that. And you take it as I need to stop trying, or I need to lower my expectations and my standards even more, when the exact opposite is true. What you need to do is look at that and ask yourself, hey, what is reality reflecting back to me? That will tell me what is going on inside of me. If reality constantly makes me feel like a loser, that means that I have a belief that I'm a loser deep down. That is what I need to change. I don't need to go out there and force things in physical reality to change, because reality is just the reflection. You cannot force the reflection to change. The reflection changes if what you put in front of the mirror is different. You are what you put in front of the mirror. If reality reflects that you are not a winner, that doesn't mean that there's something wrong with you. That just means that you somehow internalize the belief that winning is not natural and normal for you. It's not what you should expect. And that's why reality keeps proving that to you. And you need to go inside of you and decide that, you know what, that doesn't serve me anymore. Does it help me get my desires? No. So it's not a useful belief to me. I will decide that I'm a winner, because that's a useful belief to me. I will approach reality as if I expect to win, as if 90% of the time I win, and the 10% that I don't, it's not a big deal, because I'm sure I will win the next time. I will just analyze what I may have done wrong, what belief was standing in the way. It's no big deal. I will win the next time, I'm sure of it. That is what you need to do, instead of feeling that there's something wrong with you or trying to force things in physical reality. And the other thing that is super important and that you may not have noticed in what I just described is this. When you are a winner, you decide when it's over. You decide when you've lost. Having one failure doesn't mean that you've lost. What if having that failure was necessary because you're going to get something even better? You're going to get the same thing in an even better way than you expected. What if failing once means that you get to learn something that ensures success the next time? One of the biggest differences I've noticed between people who tend to win at everything and succeed at everything and people who just struggle is that the winners do not accept that they lost. They do not accept it. Just because they had a bad day, just because they started a business and it failed, they do not go into, oh, I failed. I shouldn't have started a business. I'm a bad businessman, for example. They don't take it as failure. They take it as a learning experiment. Okay, this went wrong. Next time I'm going to do better because now I know more about it. If they ask one person out and they say no, they don't take it as nobody wants to go out with me. They take it as, okay, moving on to the next person. I'm sure there's somebody better in this bar, for example. I'm sure I'm going to meet a better person tomorrow. If they try one thing for whatever desire, like you have an inspiration, for example, to text your specific person, and they don't reply, they don't take it as this person doesn't want to be with me, I failed, why have been I imagining or scripting for 2 weeks now if it's gonna do nothing? No, they don't take it as proof of failure, because you have failed when you decided that you have failed. You have failed to manifest a specific person when you decided, I failed to manifest them. Not when one thing that you don't like pops up in your physical reality. That doesn't have to mean failure, unless you make it mean failure. Tomorrow is another day, and things can be completely different. As long as you don't take that one negative thing and make it mean a million negative things about you, and mean that you failed and you should give up and you're stupid for even trying. Imagine if we approached everything in life from the perspective of, if I fail once, that means I cannot have that thing or do that thing. Like when you were a kid and you were learning to ride a bike, imagine if the first time you tried to ride a bike and you fell because you didn't know how to ride a bike yet, everybody told you, oh, why don't you give up? It's clear that you cannot ride a bike. Do something else. You will never be able to ride a bike. You don't do that. You just keep trying. Because you know that all the other kids can ride a bike. I will learn how to ride a bike. Everybody learns how to ride a bike. If not today, then tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow will be the day when I will finally be able to ride a bike. And if tomorrow is not the day, doesn't matter. You will try the next day and the next day. And it can take 3 days or 3 weeks or even 3 months. But you keep trying and eventually you learn to ride a bike. Imagine if you learned how to walk as a toddler. You fell once and you decided that's it. Everybody else will walk, but I will not be able to walk ever, even though I'm physically capable of doing it because I fell once, and that means I'm a failure at walking. Life doesn't work that way. Unless you decide that one failure means exactly that. It's a complete failure and I will never be able to do that thing. Then reality will reflect that back to you. Yes, you failed. Yes, you are never going to have that thing. But only because that's your inner attitude. If it's not, if you approach everything like riding a bike, where falling once doesn't mean a single thing about whether you can have the thing or not. It literally just meant this didn't work out today, but it's no big deal. If you approach reality like that, if you approach your manifestations like that, if you adopt that winning attitude, like I know this is going to be mine because I always win, of course it's going to be mine. Of course my specific person will come back. Of course I'm going to have a lot of money. Of course my dream house is mine. Of course people want to hire me. Of course everybody likes me. Of course everybody wants to be my friend. Of course I'm popular. Of course I'm successful. Of course I'm the best at what I do. If you approach life like that and you don't let any small failure mean anything about you and your ability to win and to have that thing, then it will not affect your manifestation negatively, and your manifestation will happen easily. So how do you build the identity of a winner? That is the question, and it's actually much simpler than you think. First of all, I want you to decide right now, this very moment, that you are a winner. End of story. Now, if when I say this, you have this voice in your mind that says, that's not true. No, I'm not. That's okay. You know why? Because the reason this voice exists is because you have a story around yourself and whether you're a winner or not. And it's a story based on your life experiences and on how you're used to seeing the world. And if you already were a winner, you wouldn't need to go through this process to create the identity of a winner. So if you have that little voice that says, no, you're not, that's completely normal. That means that you're doing a process that you actually need. It's okay. Now, here's what I want you to understand. Every identity that you have is artificial. None of them are real because nothing in reality is real. The truth is that you're a part of God incarnated here as a human. You're wearing a costume. You're playing a role. So no matter what you say about yourself, this is just an artificial identity It is not the real you, because the real you is God. The real you encompasses every possible identity, and you can pick and choose the one that you like. So up until now, you hadn't tried on the identity of a winner, and now you decide, I am a winner. All it takes for you to become somebody else, somebody different, is to decide that you are that person right now, and then keep reinforcing it until it becomes automatic. But it all starts from a decision. Just make the decision right at this very moment and say to yourself, I am a winner. I am a winner. I always win. I always get what I want. And you can use those as affirmations. I am a winner. I always win. I always get what I want. Of course I always get what I want. Of course I will succeed, because that's what always happens. You're a winner now. And I want you to ask yourself, how would a winner approach life? How would a winner approach the different things that you're going to encounter today? This is what I want you to do for the next couple of weeks. Every day, at every opportunity, I want you to observe how you approach things and ask yourself, am I approaching this as a winner? So you catch yourself worrying too much about something because you feel it's very unlikely for it to happen. I want you to stop yourself and remind yourself that, hey, why am I worried? I'm a winner. Of course, blah, blah, blah will go the way I want. You need money to pay a bill. Of course the money will come. Why? Because money always comes to me. Why does money come to me when I need it? Because I'm a winner. I'm used to getting the things I want. It almost always happens. And when it doesn't, it's not a big deal. It will happen in an even better way, in an even bigger way, shortly after. And that's the second thing to watch for. If something doesn't play out the way you want, don't make it mean something bad about yourself. You're a winner. If this didn't work, it doesn't mean anything about you. You're a winner. You are successful. You're going to have this thing. If this didn't work out, maybe it was for the best. Maybe a better way is right around the corner. Do not get upset when something doesn't work. Do not react to the physical circumstances that you don't want, because when you react to something, you magnify it. When you react to something, reality will give you more of that, because reality is a mirror and it just reflects what is going on inside of you. If you want something and somebody else gets it, do not react to that. Just remind yourself that it doesn't matter. This thing is mine. End of story. I'm a winner. I don't know how I'm going to win it, but I don't care what this looks like right now. It doesn't change the fact that this thing is going to be mine. Because here's something very important that people tend to forget, but it is very, very, very important for manifestation. Things don't mean anything by themselves. Nothing. There are no good and bad circumstances, because things just are. Whether they will be good or bad for you is determined by what label you attach to them. If you decide that something is a bad thing, it's going to play a bad role in your life. If you decide that something is a good thing, even if it looks terrible, it is going to turn out to benefit you. So it doesn't matter what circumstances are. It doesn't matter if something seems like you had a bout of bad luck or you tried something and failed. If you decide that this is the best thing that happened, this is amazing, this actually proves that the thing I want is practically already mine, and you insist on seeing it that way instead of attaching a negative label to it, reality will rearrange itself to make it a positive thing for you. And an hour later or a week later, who knows, maybe a few seconds later, it will prove that this thing that was negative actually was the best thing that ever happened to you for that manifestation, for that goal, for your life. You don't have to know the how, because it's not your job. Remember, everything that you focus on, especially with feeling, gets magnified in your reality. So if you take something negative, like I tried this and I lost, I was trying to nail that super important client and they didn't sign with me. They didn't sign with us. If you don't make it mean that I'm never getting a promotion or I'm going to be fired or something like that, if you decide that, yeah, this is the best thing that happened to me, this will prove how much better things can get. That I'm not just going to get the thing I wanted, I will get even more than I expected. If you insist on that story, reality has no choice but to play that story in your physical life somehow, to prove to you that you were right to see this as a very good thing, even if it looked very negative originally. Because this thing is not good or bad. It is whatever you decide it is. If you decide it's good, it is good. If you decide it's bad, it is bad. The next thing that you need to do is you need to celebrate every win. If you're the kind of person who cannot accept a compliment, notice that happening and consciously relax your body, smile and say thank you. And tell yourself inside your head, of course they gave me a compliment because I'm actually awesome. Of course they gave me a compliment because I'm truly beautiful, or whatever the compliment is about. If you have a small win, don't discount it. Like if you did something right, it doesn't matter if it's tiny. It doesn't matter if everybody else managed to do it a month ago and you only managed to do it successfully today. Who cares? It's a win. It proves that you're a winner. Winners are people who win. You just won at something. You're a winner. Take it and celebrate it and tell yourself, see, I am a winner. I am amazing at this. Keep doing it with everything in your reality, because winners do not discount the tiny things. They take them and allow them to build their confidence. While people who are used to losing, they criticize themselves and they take their achievements and make them smaller. Like, oh, but that wasn't such a big deal. And I get it that many people, maybe you, grow up in an environment that doesn't celebrate their wins. Maybe you had parents who you got home excited for this thing that you managed to do and they were like, oh yeah, that's not a big deal. Why don't you focus on your studies or something? Who cares? And then you grow up and you start doing the same thing to yourself. Stop doing that. It doesn't help you. It doesn't make you feel good. It doesn't help your manifestations. Celebrate every win like a child. Yay, I managed to do this. Doesn't matter what it is. You managed to make the perfect coffee today. Celebrate it. You managed to do something that it may be tiny. It may have no influence in any area of your life, but you just wanted to learn how to do it. And for the first time, you did it today. Awesome. Celebrate it. Tell yourself how amazing you are, how talented you are to have been able to do this. It's a big deal. It means you're successful. It means that you're a winner. It means that you're wired to win. And when you keep saying that and when you keep celebrating all the times that you win during the day, you become a winner. And reality will give you more and more and more wins. And they will pile up and they will snowball and they will become huge wins. And the most important thing of all, expect success. Notice, truly notice what you expect in different situations. And if you notice that what you're expecting is not success, remind yourself that, hey, I'm a winner now. Of course this will work out. Of course, if you're going to choose somebody, it will be me. Of course I will be the best. Of course I will perform better than anybody else. Of course I'm going to win. Of course I'm the most popular. Of course they prefer me. Consciously notice how many things during the day you approach from the identity of not being a winner and redirect it into the psychology of a winner. Where you feel, oh, this is very unlikely to happen, and you feel stressed, stop yourself and remind yourself that no, actually, I always win. This will work out. I'm sure of it. And even if it doesn't, it will still work out. Because something even better for me will happen to give me what I want. That's how it works. I don't have to worry about this. Notice that and redirect your thoughts until the new identity is automatic. And that's how you win 1,000 times without even trying.